Hi, Mr. Clayton. Before I sentence you, let me just say a couple words. Sentencing is the hardest job that a judge has to do. It is much harder than presiding over a trial and ruling on objections, and it's much harder than to decide on a motion argued by the attorneys, because we are asked to look at a person in their totality, the good, the bad, the ugly, and kind of evaluate it and place a value on it in terms of weighing consequences. We take each individual, we weigh the good and the bad, and we hope that we are making a wise and legal decision with our sentence that does a couple things. First and foremost, under Florida law, sentencing is for punishment, to hold one accountable for one's actions. In addition, it's for denunciation of criminal activity, so that it's abundantly clear what is right and what is wrong in our community and in our society, given the laws that the legislature has enacted. Also, it's for restitution to the victim, to make them whole as can be made. And in certain circumstances, it's for rehabilitation of the defendant. My sentence, I hope, accomplishes all of these things. I can assure you, I have read every single letter, every single poem, every single card, every single text, every single evaluation that's been provided to me in these two binders. And I have considered the sentencing memorandum that your attorney has provided, along with the arguments made by the attorneys today, and the additional evidence that I was presented today, of which I was unaware. So let me go through a little bit of what I see as the positive and negative in your particular case. And actually, let me back up and say, I've been provided with cases in and out of this jurisdiction of other instructors, other teachers, other individuals who've committed crimes and been sentenced anywhere from 4 months to 5 years. And I will tell you that has very little value for me, because every case is different and every person is different. I don't know those defendants. I don't know if they have awards and accolades and good and bad. I don't know what it is. I don't know how many charges they have. You have 4 counts, 2 of which are second-degree felonies. Some of those folks didn't have second-degree felonies. So I take, with all due respect, counsel, very little weight with other cases, because I do sentence each and every defendant individually based on your history and background and based on the facts and circumstances of this case, as I told you I would do. And in this case, there are some positives. You have positively impacted many students who I've heard from, many parents, former colleagues, and people both in and out of Douglas Anderson who have come to your defense and in your support, both in their character letters and in past notes and cards ranging over a period of 20 years. And of course, on the other side, there are some who have not so positive things to say about you, as I would expect from everybody. No one is perfect. You have awards and accolades, and generally also some very good evaluations of your time during your career at Douglas Anderson. But I do note, and I did see, that in 2016 you were reprimanded for inappropriate touching, if you will, stroking a student on her back, complimenting her beauty, and touching her in a way that you were reprimanded and told not to do. Likewise, in 2021, I saw a similar complaint of physical contact. You were given a verbal warning back in 21. So, you know better. You knew better. You should have known better that this type of touching and stroking and certainly kissing was wholly inappropriate, not to mention illegal. So you should have known better. It was bad enough that ER was a minor, was a child with whom you engaged, but she was also your student. That's a negative. What a tremendous breach of trust. Not to mention, again, a violation of the law. School is a place where kids go to learn, to grow, and to be safe. No parent can ever imagine sending their child to a school to then be confronted with what ER was confronted with. I have to tell you, listening to that recorded phone call, which I've not heard before, I felt embarrassed. I felt dirty. And I'll say the word that I think some of the other victims said, it was creepy. It was creepy. That was very impactful. Because you don't expect a 65-year-old man who's been previously born and who should know better to do that with a 16-year-old child. Now, I did hear from some of the other victims that was by the agreement of the parties, but I do have to make everyone understand that what I'm sentencing Mr. Clayton on today is for these 4 crimes only, because that is what the law permits me to do. I cannot sentence him for other charges for which he has not been prosecuted and for charges for which he will not be prosecuted, because that was part of the plea agreement. The state is not filing those charges. Mr. Clayton has not pled guilty to those charges, and so while I have listened carefully to what those 3 additional witnesses said, I certainly hope that having been heard today, that will help in your healing. But please understand, I am only sentencing Mr. Clayton on the 4 counts he has before me today, because that's what the law requires. You did, Mr. Clayton, lose a lot. As you have stated, you lost your wife, you lost your family, you lost your job, you lost your house, you lost your pension. You did, and I don't take that lightly. But I do agree with the state in this regard. You lost it because of actions you took. Because again, you should have known better. You were the adult here. You were the adult here. So, with that said, having weighed all the positives and the negatives, Mr. Clayton, you will be sentenced as follows. On each of counts 1, 2, 3, and 4, I will adjudicate you guilty of each of those counts. And on each of counts 1 and 2, those are the second-degree felonies, these sentences shall run concurrently, and they will be to 10 years in Florida State Prison with credit for the 1 day you have already served. That will be followed by a period of 3 years of probation with the following special conditions. You will have no intentional or direct or indirect contact with ER, the victim in this case, or any other individual named in the plea agreement by their initials, including through a third party, unless approved by the victim, a qualified professional, or the sentencing court. I'm going to order that you continue your counseling, and you may continue it with the counseling that you are currently in once you are released. You will not have any contact with a child under the age of 18 without prior court approval. You will not work for pay or as a volunteer at any place where children regularly congregate, and that includes but is not limited to schools, child care facilities, parks, playgrounds, pet stores, libraries, zoos, theme parks, malls, and any other place where children regularly congregate. You will make restitution to the victim for any necessary medical, related, psychological, psychiatric care. You will pay $518 in mandatory felony court costs, and you will pay a mandatory $151 surcharge for crimes against a minor. On each of counts 3 and 4, those are the third-degree felonies, I will sentence you to 5 years Florida State Prison with credit for 1 day already served, and those all 4 counts shall run concurrently. Do you understand your sentences?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
And you do maintain the right to appeal the sentences I've just imposed if they're illegal, but otherwise that is going to conclude this sentencing hearing today. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Sentencing guidelines, and that'll be all. Oh wait, Mr. Clayton, I need you to look on that Zoom screen, sir. There is don't turn around. There's a probation officer in that bottom square, but I need you to get back to the microphone. He will have some questions for you before you leave the courtroom.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, does the court need to file a motion to seal?
Yes, that will be necessary.
Is it okay if I do all of them in one motion?
You can.
Thank you.
Officer Downs, you're muted, sir. Did you need to speak with the, you can't unmute? Okay, hold on. Do you have everyone muted? Can you unmute Officer Downs? Here's the guy. Did you forget the name? Still not working?
Brian did something to make sure everybody was muted.
Okay. We have it to unmute. Can you?
I got to turn on this thing.
Officer Downs, can you try to unmute now?
I'm unmuted now, thank you.
All right, very good.
Sir, do you happen to know where you might be residing once you're released?
I do not.
Okay. All right, do you have a next of kin contact number?
Yes.